Hi everyone, it's Calvin for the future, and just to let you know, in this video there is mild conversations about the idea that the defendant, or the victim, sorry, might have taken their own lives. It's very mild, but just to let you guys know, just so you don't feel anyway affected by that, and if this is something that affects you, that you can like maybe skip the episode, because it's all over the episode. But yeah, hope you have a good day. Hope you enjoyed the video if you are going to watch it. And if you're not going to watch it, there's no hard feelings either. I'll see you next time. Hello baby gangsters, this is Calvin, also known as Romer, and this is my first ever playthrough of the great Ace Attorney. No. This is my first ever playthrough of Apollo Justice Ace Attorney. I think I had the great Ace Attorney Chronicles on my mind for some reason. And we're talking to Bruchel, and this is his statement.
I visited the studio on 9 that night to do the interview. The first outsider to enter the atelier, journalistic history made, end quote. His daughter brought us coffee right after we started. And you know what happened next? Star falls, end quote.
Star falls, end quote.
No one else entered the room besides her the whole time.
He sure makes it sound exciting. I guess that's his job. There's only one moment we need to focus on, really. The moment when Drew Misham died?
Exactly, there has to be something there.
Sorry, I know I'm doing that voice then. Okay, so I visited the studio around 9 p.m. that night. Wait, did we hear the first part of the... Okay, I guess at the end of the last episode, we actually heard him make his full statement, because I was like, oh, this is like interesting. I guess we did. That's my bad. So what's like, what can we press here? What can we say this? Press here. So the first outsider and tell you, so that's true. His daughter brought us coffee. We know this is true. And you know what happened next? Starfall, end quote. So I guess like the ones we can talk about the most are the last two, because it's like, okay, he died. Right, so that's what to do with his death, and this one is no one else entered the room. So we can say like, no one else, you sure no one, like nothing entered the room. That kind of way. Let's press this first. What's this about star falling? Star falls, it's like an old telegram. Send money, over.
Zowie, you don't know, that's like journalistic code word. An important personage passes away, a star falls, get it?
But there's no gravity in space, is there? I wouldn't think stars could fall, really. Does this matter?
Oh boy, this is good stuff. Good stuff. How about star breaks? Nah, lacks punch. I know, star dies. Nah, lacks imagination. Of course, you could go with Drew dies, straight to the point, I like it.
I think we need to hear about something a little more about substantial. Bruchel's coffee, the stars coffee, the moment of death. Yeah, the moment of death. Yeah, 100%. About when Mr. Misham passed away.
Oh boy, what a scene that was. He puts his coffee mug down with a crash, right?
But it's completely intact. This coffee mug is literally fine. This coffee mug is literally fine. Yeah.
Then the cold finger dead touches by a light flame sputters and falls. So cold was the touch that he could do naught but tremble uncontrollably. Actually, Life's flame is a little tired. Life's river froze over. Yes, that's a go.
I think he's starting this article already. Could you describe it a little more simply?
Well, as you can imagine, I was pretty surprised. He hit the floor, as I say, artist seizure in final performance. End quote.
Okay, we get it.
Atropine paralyzes the central nervous system. The body arches back like a bow, the limbs tremble, the throat burns.
That's quite enough of that.
Some of us want to be able to sleep tonight. You picked the wrong profession, Mr. Judge.
Oh yeah? Well, I want details. A lot of juicy details.
For that, you can listen to our last year's hit single, Atropine, My Love, by the Gavineers, available at all major music outlets. You need to
reassess your album titles, sir.
Point here is that the victim died of atropine poisoning. Well, Mr. Justice, how did you find that testimony?
Not important. Because it's the exact same. Okay, so maybe we have to pick something else? You think the moment of Mr. Maston's death would be important? Well, Mr. Bush's story really didn't tell us anything we didn't already know.
Very well, please continue with testimony.
So, can we choose a different option then? Because it's very clear that's because I genuinely think that's not... Yeah, this is important. But did we choose something wrong then? What's this about star falling? Star falls, so let's see. So, a different option we could take is... So here we go. Bruchel's coffee or the Stars coffee. Okay, we'll talk. Yeah, okay, that's my bad then. Okay, you said Mr. Bisham had coffee too. What, did you actually see him drink the coffee?
Of course. He who sees it wins, but he who says it wins bigger.
End quote. So that's like actually a very good quote, isn't it? It's like, yeah, if you're a witness to the crime, that's like cool. But the person who actually explains the crime is the one who's gonna get like the notoriety for it. You make me like, he's so excitable.
I live in a man sees dog eat dog and writes about it world.
So yeah, man sees the dog eating the dog and writes about it. Yet?
I guess I can't say I saw him drink it, really. He had one so-called sip, if that. Man puts lips to mug, drinks, end quote.
That poison is quite violent, I hear.
My stomach did a so-called somersault, since I gulped down the coffee without so much as a second glance at it. Wait, maybe something's there. Some kind of so-called twick. Anyone want to venture a guess for the record?
Does this guy have a pause button?
Well, Mr. Justice, did you find the testimony valuable?
Let's see. So the other one we deemed not to be valuable. Poisonous vitamin. You had one so-called sip of that. Here's the thing. We talked about, like, Gavin literally just talked about what the poison does, right? Didn't he? Clavier. It paralyzes the central nervous system. The body arches back like a bow and the limb trembles and the throat burns. So I'm wondering if this is a situation where, like, he took one sip, would that be enough? I think it would be enough, right? But I think the issue is... Okay, we're gonna say very important this time. Very important this time. Because Bruchel's coffee is not important. The victim drank his coffee that immediately fell over.
Oh yes, you can go to press
With that one. So this is the issue then, I guess. Is that it would have taken a bit longer? Because the way Gavin described it was that it's like like with your central nervous system, like it takes a bit, like especially if it's paralyzing you and it's going through your body, it's not going to be an instantaneous sip and then death. Your Honor, this is a vital piece of information. Please add it to the testimony. Okay.
Very well, the witness will add it to a testimony, so we have to then present something on this.
Vital. Right. So he had one sip of that, then next moment he was on the floor.
So we know that it poisons, like it affects, as Clavier is saying, and I think we mentioned it before as well in the last few episodes, that it takes a bit longer. So can we present like maybe the coffee mug on this and be like, hey, yo, this takes a bit longer to do this then. Can we try that?
Objection!
Yeah. It's the poison, man. You don't want to have a problem with a particular property of poison used, atroquinine.
Oh, Prosecutor Gavin was quite clear about the poison. A lethal dosage of 0.002 milligrams paralyzes the central nervous system. If you drank that, even if Mr. Justice, will be reduced to a quivering pile.
This is exactly what we're saying. Why are you using me as an example? Unfortunately, we weren't told everything. There was a vital omission in the Prosecutor Gavin's information.
An omission?
Atroquinine is a virulent, as he says. But death doesn't come upon ingestion, not immediately. Okay, yeah, we're on the right track. That's because atroquinine is slow acting.
Slow acting?
What? According to the forensic scientist. It's one of the most virulent poisons, but absorbed into the body. Yeah, body astonishingly slowly. Okay, I remember saying something like this. It takes at least 15 minutes from the time of ingestion for adverse effects to show. If we suppose that the moment Mr. Misham sipped the coffee was when he sealed his fate, then he would still have a time to enjoy his last cup of joe. Jesus Christ, man. So suits his character, the thin pants.
Order, what's the meaning of this? If this is what the defense says is correct, why that contradicts the entire testimony we just heard?
Well, Mr. Bruchel, anything to say on the record?
Slow acting. Slow actor. It was a virulent, all right. Even then, it had already begun digging his claws into the journalist.
He's working on his scoop.
Objection!
It's Bruchel, yeah? Bruchel, let's take a trip back down memory lane.
Huh?
Did the victim really die in the instant he took a sip? Think it over. This is vital.
You know what I think? I think that was a not so subliminal suggestion, end quote.
Yeah, at least, okay, the first witness to actually point out what Gavin does sometimes, which is just like, think back, you know, and in fairness, other judges, the only lawyer who I never see do this type of thing was probably Edgeworth, right? That's my opinion anyway. I mean, it does cause a problem if he died when you said he died. I'd be forced to say, of where to shine, or to shine, to my simple case. And you will be forced to say farewell to your article.
Come again?
You can't write a story based on conjecture, can you? And as the case drags on, other reporters will pick up the scent. And you'll be forced to kiss your exclusive scoop goodbye.
Scoop?
Oh God. Brother, stop, not in the court. No, you just licked that. Not in the court, dude. You do whatever you want in the comfort of your own home, my brother. Look.
Wait, just wait a second. Just 1 second.
We're waiting, out with it.
I think I just recalled a so-called important detail.
I'm asking you, Judge. You were willing to put away a 14-year-old child, last case, within 2 minutes of having information. I'm asking you to put the hurt on this guy. Not physically. To put pressure on this guy to say this, if you lie again, you will not be, your testimony will not matter whatsoever. I am begging you, Judge. I can't do this.
A revival of recollection, end quote. Story survival, end quote.
Attorney utterly confused, end quote. Yeah, get him, Apollo.
Actually, I did notice something when I visited the studio. I heard of poison that takes us 3 times, see?
But it's not what I've been saying for the last few minutes, apparently.
Mr. Rochelle, are you saying you noticed something that explains what happened?
Oh, you bet I am. The antidote for a poisonous contradiction, end quote, you might say.
Or, I still have no idea what you're talking about, end quote, I might say.
I figured it out, but only after an in-depth interview. See, thanks to my journalism skills, I know who poisoned that coffee.
Order.
As far as I can tell, the witness is standing by his testimony. Now, the only reason I'm not saying that, we give him another chance, I'm not saying, now he's lying, but is because I think it's very, very easy in the heat of a moment seeing someone die. I would imagine it's very easy to not recall exactly the second that he died and what happened in the second that he died. Would you agree? Would you guys agree with that? Because for me, if I witnessed something like that, and the difference between it happening in a split second and it happening in 15 minutes or whatever, I imagine that in some part of your brain you would change it around in your head, right? You won't always remember things perfectly. That Mr. Misham died the instant after he drank.
Of course I'm standing by my testimony. And my dream of exclusive rights to the story.
I suppose there's too much to hope for. What was? Of course he wouldn't choose a simple case, not him.
Him?
Oh, Phoenix, of course. Yeah. I love how he's a legendary person in this courtroom. Achung Rochelle, report for us if you would. What is that you noticed?
This court is a critical trial of the juris system. I'm afraid no room for doubt is permissible. You will testify to the court about what you noticed.
When I write, you know what happened last time? I think I saved here, during the testimony, and it's kind of, I think it skipped past the entire testimony. Is that what happened? I don't know.
When I arrived at the studio, Mr. Misham was at his desk. He seemed to be writing a letter, but he quickly sealed the envelope.
We know that there was an envelope being written here, right? Found in the victim's desk drawer contained 2 sheets of writing paper. The only thing about it was, it wasn't sealed, was it? Or no, it was resealed, right?
I thought nothing of it at the time, of course. Now that I think about it, what if he was writing a suicide note?
A suicide note?
You know what's funny? If we went with this angle, even though it's not the right angle, if we went with this angle, we would probably get Vera off all charges, but whoever actually did this would not be, would not get off all charges. You know what I mean? There would still be a killer on the loose. So it's kind of like this thing where it's like, and also we wouldn't know the mystery of the freaking Apollo thing, you know?
A suicide note?
Yeah, just look on his face. A man's face is inscrutable as a quadratic equation, end quote.
Suicide? Poor Mr. Misham. But that means Vera is innocent. Would someone commit suicide in the middle of an interview? See, that's the thing. Like, that's the thing. It doesn't make sense for a man who is, like, so quiet in his life and so private in his life to one day just be like, okay, I'm going to make sure everyone knows that I've died. You know what I mean? Everyone knows that I passed away. If anything, it's like the way, like, a cat passes away if he knew he was going to pass away, I imagine he would do it, like, in quiet, like, a quiet, like, not dignity is probably not the word, because cats use it for dignity. I'm not trying to compare it to a cat, you know what I mean? I don't think that would be something you do.
Very well, you may begin your cross-examination.
So, like, the two ones we're going to press are the one with the letter and the one where it talks about the suicide note. So, where is it now? So, this one here. Yeah. This is the first one. So, he put the letter away when he saw you?
Early reporter gets worm, end quote. That's my secret.
I'm not sure I follow.
It's the night of the interview. I arrive 15 minutes ahead of schedule. The handle turns, the door opens, and I barge in.
Are you sure that's not okay to do? Are you sure it's okay to do? I mean, isn't that unlawful entry, really?
Mr. Bishop sure seemed to think so. You should have seen him. He crammed his letter into that yellow envelope as fast as he could.
Yeah, you don't, like, I don't give a damn what anyone says. Hot take. Hot take. If I invite you to my house at, for 8 p.m., and you barge into the house without me opening the door at 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. or 6 p.m., you'll break it into my house. I said 8 p.m.
I know a secret when I spot one, and that was one.
Yeah, but none of your business, man.
It does seem significant.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Justice?
I wonder. It does have a ring of something important. Should we add it to testimony? I mean, it literally could not hurt us. We'd lose a life if we got it wrong. The defense finds testimony vital, Your Honor.
Very well, please add it to the testimony.
Hey, went up. My account code's free of charge. It was a yellow.
Oh, brother, no, it wasn't. It was a red one. Okay, me going like, it was sealed. It was unsealed. No, it's a red envelope. And just so happens there was a single letter in the desk drawer at the scene. It's a red envelope. Oh my god, dude, don't stop. You do the freakiest things. Prosecutor Gavin. Yes? Was a yellow envelope found at the scene of the crime?
Unfortunately, no. But Air Forehead, it's easy to mistake the color of an envelope.
Hot take? No, it's not. Your Honor, the difference between, in my opinion, this is like crimson blood red almost. It's actually more like of a brighter red, actually. It's more like a rose red and a yellow. That is such a big difference. I disagree with this so much, and I think Clavier is just grasping at straws here. I disagree so much. You know? I guess. But not this envelope. You see, it was postmarked already. 7 years ago.
Well, Mr. Brushell?
I can explain that. Drew, right? He wanted to get that letter in the envelope pronto. Get it out of sight of my beady eyes, right? So he grabbed the newest envelope and crammed away.
And what about the whole red and yellow envelope contradiction, chump?
Well, Mr. Justice, have you anything to say to the witness's claim?
He still has to explain the contradiction in his mind why he saw a yellow one instead of a red one, sir. And if there was another yellow one at the scene, then the fact is that if Vera didn't have it, they didn't find anything on the scene, they didn't find anything in the bin, they didn't find anything on anyone else. That means it would implicate the freaking journalist over here. That night, the victim put a letter he had been writing in a red envelope. It's possible. It's impossible. We know he didn't write it, right? Because it's him. Yeah, it's for him. That's impossible.
Ah, I like your expression. So full of confidence.
It's simple, really. As it just so happens, the defense team investigated the contents of this envelope with the assistance of the forensic scientist. What? Note that this letter is addressed to Drew Misham.
Oh?
Why would he address a letter to himself? Let alone send a suicide note to himself. Exactly. Well, okay. I remember there was an old thing. I don't know if it's still the case or something that still can happen now. You can explain. Maybe you guys can. You guys are always very good at correcting me with this stuff, if it is the case. I wonder, like, you know the way people used to send a CD to. Now this might be a myth, but I remember I see it in TV shows where you send a CD that you made, a recording, an album that you made, and send it to yourself. That way you have it dated and sealed of the actual date, and there's a record of it being sent through the post. So that way, if you ever go to court for a copyright thing, you can be like, hey, this is our song. We literally sent it to ourselves months before this guy released this song. If that makes sense. So there is always some, I guess that could work, wouldn't it? Like, it'd be good evidence.
Mr. Rochelle, can you explain to the court?
Oh, my, how could I have forgotten? I suppose this happens to be the best of us. Reporter gets old, forgets lots, end quote.
Sure. Very colorful character.
I'm still waiting for an explanation, Mr. Rochelle.
Well, that's the thing. See, after he put his letter in the envelope, Mr. Misham sat there searching his desk drawer for something.
Wait. This is such a common Ace Attorney song. This song is always played when you meet a character who is off the wall crazy, who you have to get something out of. And it actually has the compression of like the DS, doesn't it? It sounds like the DS song, which isn't a bad thing, by the way, because like I have the Nintendo DS. I love my Nintendo DS. I genuinely believe that people like, people like that's one of my least favorite things when people do that thing where they're like this looks like a DS game. It's like, have you seen the shit that was on the DS? It looks awesome. Have you seen the stuff that was on the 3DS? It looks amazing. Like, I still have my 3DS. I still have my DS. I still love them to pieces. They're amazing. And the compression sometimes, like, to me, just sounds like really nostalgic. His desk drawer?
Yes, a stamp, a so-called postage stamp. End quote.
A stamp? Whatever for?
Well, to mail his letter, what else? And then, why yes, I think I saw him put his letter in the box. Yes, it was a yellow envelope. And he put it in that box.
Well, apparently.
Oh, I wish he did it.
So what is it? Well, apparently,
this yellow letter has nothing to do with the case.
Okay.
Just think if that were a suicide note, what a story.
Dude, that's disgusting. That's absolutely disgusting.
Star writes suicide note for the reporter. False. End quote.
As I was saying, that has nothing to do with this case. That said.
Yes, Your Honor?
It makes me wonder about the contents of that red envelope.
We know it. We know the content of the red envelope. Mr. Drew, I deposit 100,000 in the designated account. Please send a receipt for you confirm for transfer. Sign the paper, send in the unclosed envelope with unclosed stamp by 30 days. And you remind you to speak.
100,000 is quite a good deal of money.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's life-changing money. That's what I always find so weird on, like, when you're on Twitter and someone will like post like, you always know someone came from a rich family when they post like a picture of like a log cabin. And they go, would you live here for a month with infinite food for $1 million? And you're like, what? Or like, they're like, would you live in a haunted house for 3 days for $50,000? Dude, I do it for 100. Pay me 200 and I do it. You know what I mean? It's like it's so like that's how you know some people don't have the concept of like the value of money and how things cost. You know? So this was from 7 years ago, yeah?
So am I finished? I mean, am I finished here? I was thinking of, going home to start writing.
I hate to say what should be pretty obvious to anyone, but when you catch the scent of a story, you make that rather unique face. Like he's sniffing out a story.
Alright, come on! A 30 is active imagination, little else, end quote.
Even I noticed something in my eyes aren't what they used to be. You know, I'm starting to understand what all this perceiving stuff is about.
Do we have the judge's age? Judge's active imagination. End quote. Get him, Apollo.
Please continue with your testimony. Tell us about the scent of a story.
Stop! I know what I think. Usually. Okay, as usual, we find a statement that's weird all the time. That's the way you do this.
Actually, it took a bit of work to get the thumbs up on the interview.
Okay, we can press that. No, I guess... Oh, no, we can.
Reporter leveraged the story to get his interview, end quote. The story concerned a certain case from 7 years ago.
Oh.
That envelope probably has something to do with it. Say what you will, but Drew's talent is without compare.
Wait, and like he was drawing, like...
So you threatened to go with the press with the story? That's how you got your interview? Blackmail?
Well, yes. I mean, no. I wasn't exactly black. I mean,
Something wrong, Mr. Bruchel?
Look, this is my story, my tidbit. Journalist info is livelihood. End quote.
I see.
While you have me trying to wait here, what's going on out there? What if someone Wally Walsworth or Sally Scooper's getting the wind of my story?
If Sally Scooper gets the story, it's her story. Don't worry about it.
They could be going to the press while I'm going to waste.
The court feels your pain, Mr. Bruchel. Mr. Justice, let's pick up the pace.
A certain case 7 years ago. Wait, 7 years ago? Okay, Judge, once again, like, I'm not gonna get as frustrated as I did last time when you were, like, trying to push forward a case when you're, like, when this 14-year-old kid was up for, like, at the time we talked that death penalty. Here's the thing, and I need you to understand something. This is not only a murder trial. This is not only a trial where a 19-year-old girl can go to prison for the rest of her life. This is a trial that literally affects the country. We're not rushing through this. So 7 years ago was the Phoenix trial. That's what we're looking at here. Oh, there's a perceiving thing going on here? Is that what they mentioned, the perceiving thing? Or is that even a... Or is that just there all the time? Maybe I'm just didn't even know. It's actually
Took a bit of work to get thumbs up in the interview. Reporter leveraged the story to get his...
Yeah, I want to press this. Exactly what sort of story was this?
Oh, a little one, like I said. Nothing more, nothing less, nothing in between. End quote. I might have suggested that I lead on this particular story, but I didn't threaten or cajole or nothing, honest.
So a suggestion was enough to get the interview? Mr. Mission must really want to keep it under wraps.
The story concerned a certain case from 7 years ago.
I need to press this. I need to press this. A certain case 7 years ago? Tell us, what case? Oh, stop.
Let me state one thing, Mr. Attorney. Stop! And you can quote me on this.
Stop.
I can talk about that case. I can't talk about that case. Why not? It's about journalistic pride and staunchness and credibility and connections. Journalists reveal sources only over his dead body. End quote.
This is a murder case, my friend. Oh, stop! Stop it right now. He sounds pretty determined not to talk. Our chances of breaking his will aren't looking good.
That envelope probably has something to do with it.
So did they want us to perceive? Which one would they have us perceive here? Like this one here? Because it seems like they want me to perceive something. Like, if we're unsure, we can press more statements, because that was the plan anyway. And then usually if all else fails, Trucy will tell us that we need to perceive something. We could try a perceiving. Like, I don't think it would hurt. We can try and see if there's any changes in this. The red envelope probably had something to do with it. Here again, maybe... I don't see anything different. No, I don't see anything different. Do you guys see? I do not see anything different. We'll look at it one more time just in case. No. Yeah, I did not see anything different. On the one hand, we have your story, on the other, this letter. What makes you think the two are related?
Oh, I was just saying it's possible. Call it reporter's intuition, end quote. Hey, I say a lot of things. You gotta pick all of them, Poppy, my guest.
I will. I'll pick every single thing you say apart. All of them? No, just the incredibly suspicious ones.
I see. Anything else to add about Mr. Misham?
Say what you will, but Drew's talent was without compare.
So here's the thing. The red envelope probably has something to do with it. The story concerned a certain case from 7 years ago. We pressed this as well. Reporter left your story to get himself interview, end quote. Actually took a bit of work to get the thumbs up the interview. So I guess, like, I thought maybe we get something on these statements. But it seems like they want us to perceive something. So what else can we perceive something? Like these ones here, this didn't work. Say what you will, but Drew's talent was without compare. And it doesn't show what you have to perceive beforehand. The reporter left your story, gets his interview, and goes. So okay, let's look through these statements, see which one we could like, see if there's anything he's lying about. I actually took a bit of thumbs up works to get the on the interview. So he's in a case from 7 years ago. The red envelope probably had something to do with it. And say what you will, but Drew's talent was without compare. The two I can think of is this one and this one. The reason I'm saying the last one is because it's like really out of place. Like, it feels just like really out of place. This one here. Drew's talent is without compare. Because, like, why would even, like... We'll try both of them, I suppose. Let's try this one as well. Like, it's not going to hurt us to try and then pass if we don't get it, so... See, now we have... In this one, we have more motion. I did not... We'll try the other side. I did not see a thing. No, I didn't see a... I guess we'll try the last statement. So nothing on the face. Nothing on the arm. Nothing on the brush. Okay, that was fast. Okay, here again. That was too... Okay, like, are we, like... I can't be getting all of these wrong. What does he do with his paw? Okay, let's look at... Let's go back through the wall again, and we're just gonna look at every single aspect of this. Oh! Okay. So... I was gonna go through all of them again, and, like, right before I was like, okay, let's just go through all of them again, because I was kind of thinking here for a second. Literally something I didn't even notice happened, and it's actually pretty freaking nuts. Look at this. And it's something so small. Look at that. Gotcha! He's sweating. Yeah, I wouldn't have... Honestly, I would not have noticed that if I didn't just leave it there for a second. I was like, okay, what are we going to do? I was thinking to myself, I was like, okay, we'll cut this part out. And, like, literally, I'll be honest, it was literally, like not even, like, that long. It was, like, 30 seconds.
Yeah, well, a man can't help his glands, you know.
Oh, it's okay, so stop brushing your freaking tongue and putting it on your glasses. It's more than that. When Mr. Mesham's talent was mentioned, you suddenly began to sweat buckets.
You're hiding something.
You're hiding something about his talent.
That's, ridiculous.
Evidence time. Let's show where Mr. Misham's true talent lay. The forgeries, right? The forgeries. Hidden painting. Okay, so the forgeries. This painting was found in Mr. Misham's studio. There are two problems with this painting. The first, it wasn't painted by Mr. Misham. The second is that there was another painting in the studio, which looked exactly like this one, except it was only half done. Then we have a letter discussing the payment of 100,000, which suggests a certain business operation. The business of making forgeries. Stop doing that yourself. You're gonna get so damaged. That is all, Your Honor. I can't get over the silhouette.
Everyone, please, everyone! Can we keep this private, please?
No, that's not how this works. Stop brushing your tongue.
This is my story, my scoop.
Forgery, that's a serious crime.
Drew Mesham was known as an artist these days.
So, like, I still couldn't predict who's killed him because I don't even think Bruchelle would do it, right? It has to have something to do with the envelope or the transfer of an envelope, right? Maybe there was a yellow envelope and they passed poison through it or something. I don't know. Like, there has to be something to do with it because, like, it's not Vera.
But there were rumors that he dabbled in another kind of art until a few years back.
Another art meaning forgery?
Drew Misham was talented, all right. Talented at making precise detail fakes. The fact that a certain criminal element were quick to discover.
Criminal elements? What? You can't seriously be talking about...
Exactly! I'm talking about forging evidence. The rumors started circulating 7 years ago.
7 years ago?
Oh my god. This is going to be so super connected to us and Phoenix, isn't it? This is going to be so freaking connected. I'm so worried.
So are we all to understand that this letter, this payment of 100,000 was for?
Exactly. Forged evidence that's tidy profit, end quote.
This is not good, man. What is this? Why did Phoenix choose this? Phoenix must have known about this.
Order, order, order. Why, it's like our victim was living a double life.
This is my chance. So the victim had ties to the criminal world, right? He would have plenty of enemies we know nothing about.
This is my first time hearing of the criminal world. We certainly found no criminal connections when we conducted our investigation.
But how do you explain all this money? You have to admit there's a possibility of some illegal activity here.
But there is no proof tying this letter to our case.
Don't talk to me about proof, Clavier. Okay, my explanation of this as how it is evidence is that he was literally writing a letter before he died. And in that letter, it literally has in the letter, like, you could say that, like, this is a motivation to kill someone. To me, like having 100,000 transferred to you, like, to me, like, there's something there.
This isn't like when a 14-year-old boy was able to carry a man all the way to a scissor lift. That's pure evidence. This is a man just writing a letter before he died, or closing a letter before he died. There's no way that this can be evidence. Our case was and remains simple from the beginning.
See, this is the problem with... I hit the mic. This is the problem with prosecutors, and it's every prosecutor. And it makes sense, by the way. It's story-based, and they're trying their best. A prosecutor will try to keep the case as simple as possible, because if it is this, like, unless they know unless the person is innocent completely, because it completely supports the prosecutor more to have a cut and dry. This is what happened. It's simple, no matter what. But it's clearly not simple when there's no like every element of this so far has been off the wall crazy.
Only the defendant could have poisoned that mug that night.
See, and this Clavier is very smart. He does this all the time. He did this in the last case too. Even though the last time with Maki, it was dumb. It was dumb. But again, it's a smart move, because what happens is then people go like, oh yeah, it is kind of, you're right. And the jury's sitting there going, yeah, Clavier's confident about this and must be right. But what he did last time was basically every single time we got some evidence, he'd be like,
forehead. This is simple. He's the only one who could have done this.
You know what I mean? And they and every prosecutor will try and like take it back to be, and in these games they'll try and take it back to being the simplest form of the trial. They'll take all the evidence that we've gotten, evaporate it, and be like, no, this is the simple fact here at the bottom of this case, the foundation of this. While we're trying to kind of be more like, not romantic about it, but we're trying to be like, hey, this is what could have happened, and this is what did happen. This is what we found. This relates to this.
And you, of course.
Hey, the only thing I poison is my pen when I'm writing reviews.
Okay, dude, calm down.
Mr. Rochelle, your testimony to the point has been quite unreliable. It doesn't speak well of your reporting acumen.
What are you talking about? Journalism is rock solid. Journalism is so solid you could stand an elephant on it. End quote.
I don't think anything about you is rock solid, to be honest with you, buddy.
In any case, let's hear a summarized recap of your testimony. And we can ascertain the situation from that studio. From the recap, the trial is over.
If we can ascertain the situation from the studio, the trial is over. Yeah, like, this is always like, to me, the judge shouldn't be doing this. I understand the prosecution's, like, it's totally smart for Clavier, Edgeworth, Von Karma, any of the prosecutors to try and make this the simplest form possible, because what it does is that, like we said, it takes us to its foundation, and the foundation is always easier to swallow than it is the kind of like nitty bitty gritty stuff of it, you know what I mean? But the judge should not, in my humble opinion, be sitting here going, let's end this trial quickly. Apollo, what's he talking about? The cross-examination showed Mr. Burchell didn't have reason or means to poison him. As long as there's no other suspects, then the killer had to be Vera, that's what. This next testimony is our last chance. And by the way, they built this up perfectly, because in the second trial with Waki Kitaki, what happened was, we literally had to, Trucy had to like pretend she was kidnapped, because the trial was going to end. They were like, this is the only suspect we have, it's the only viable option, it's over. But we got time from being kidnapped. A similar thing happened last trial, and we had to like buy time as well by like bringing something else to the stand. We had to bring Lamoureux to the stand. We had to bring Maki to the stand at 1.2. So they have built this up to be the mechanic that you have to work with in the game. So it's not like it's far-fetched for this to happen.
Mr. Burchell, your testimony, please.
I'm gonna kill you, buddy. You better start telling the truth.
The only other person in the studio tonight was the defendant. It was Vera who poured the coffee. She admitted it much herself.
That's the thing. She admitted to pouring the coffee. If she was a scared 19-year-old girl who poisoned Mr. Burchell, would she like not try to deny that she poured the coffee?
The only thing that touched Drew's lips during the interview was that mug. And nothing left that studio after he died, nothing.
But you said that a letter had left the studio. You said that he put an envelope in the studio, in the letterbox.
Clearly the only one who could have poisoned him was his daughter.
You said a letter was put in the box. Didn't he? He said a yellow envelope was put in that box, so it would have left the studio.
A nice testimony, clear, succinct, and without room for doubt.
To me, if you're in your doing a trial and you have to say it couldn't have been, then I feel like you're not being as clear as you could be.
Oh shucks, you really think so?
I believe this clarifies the situation that night. Very well, Mr. Justice, you may begin your final cross-examination.
Right. I still have one trump card left to play, and I won't let this trial end until I use it. He's talking about getting up out of the trial and him and Trucy jumping him. The two of them jumping him into the gang. The only other person in the studio tonight was the defendant. We know this is true for now. It was Vera who poured the coffee. We know this is true. The only thing that touched Drew's lips during the interview was that mug. I mean, we can press this, but it's the next statement I'm worried about the most. You're sure about that?
Well, to be really precise, I was busy gobbling mint candies the whole time.
Yeah, I heard you had a very minty aura to you. One of those candies might have been poisoned.
Objection!
Yeah, we're not going to say that.
Yet at the time of the autopsy, no fresh fragrance of mint filled the room, and no mint residue was found.
Yeah, this isn't like, it was a long shot anyway. Yeah, this isn't like Johann Liebert poisoning like the whole hospital.
Don't tell me you're still trying to prove this. You think the victim ate and drank or otherwise ingested something other than coffee?
Well, Mr. Justice, if you have some proof,
The possibility is there. I can feel it, just maybe not proven. Not yet. We don't have. No. Not now. Yeah. Miss Special ingested that poison via route other than coffee. No, we cannot prove this. Right? Do we have anything that can prove this? We have to prove that like somehow poison got into his system some other way? Maybe? Okay. Maybe. I mean, there's poison on the freaking photo frame. Right? So maybe? So, this statement that I didn't think was important at all actually turned out to be the important one. But I feel like... It's just me. Like, statement 4 seemed more important. We'll see. We'll see how this works. Statement 4 seemed more important to me. I gotta risk it.
Oh, excellent. Let's see your proof then. Please show us your evidence. What evidence shows that the victim wasn't poisoned via coffee milk?
I didn't even think this, but I guess we're going with it. I didn't even think this.
Must I explain this over and over? We don't need possibilities here, Forehead. We need proof.
I know that.
You should also know that every proof has its moment. Perhaps you're a bit early?
I can tell what we know at this point. The victim put nothing to his mouth but that coffee mug.
Another hole in this case needs plugging before I can prove anything. But first things first, I better uncover a weak spot before I try to strike again.
On with the cross-examination.
So that just didn't... Okay, so that's not true at all then. And nothing left to do. Okay, so let's press this then. So okay, so I guess I was right about that statement not really mattering that much? Not one thing, you're sure?
Yep, sure can be. Well, with one exception. What exception? Journalist Mark Pashel does interview, leaves the studio. And quote.
No, but we're talking about the envelope.
It's a joke, get it? Funny? Not funny, I know, but still,
It's a murder case, my dude. Did something leave the studio tonight? The letter. He said a letter left the studio. Why does that sound familiar? Where have I heard something like that before? From him!
Now we've proven our witness is a comedian of sorts. I'd like to turn our defense attorney before returning to the testimony. Do you have any idea what, if anything, might have left that studio that night?
Yes, the letter. The letter. He said a letter left the studio. I think one thing might have left the studio that night, actually. A certain something that has vanished from the crime scene. The yellow envelope.
By which you mean... something other than our witness?
Of course.
Don't tell me. Vera Misham?
Believe me, any comic relief I may provide is entirely unintentional.
Then let's see what you've got for us, Mr. Justice.
Well, this thing wasn't at the scene of the crime, so I can't show it to you. But I do have evidence that it shows how it could have been taken from the scene. The letterbox. Letterbox. So far, this case is very... It's straightforward, but I think it's only straightforward to me because we don't have any, like... There hasn't been, like, anything crazier implemented in the actual trial itself. When we start getting into, like, why our picture is on those frames, that's when things are gonna get weird, I think. That's my opinion, anyway. This is the only link between the studio and the outside world.
A letterbox?
What did Mr. Michel just tell us? When he entered the studio on the night of the murder, the victim had just finished writing a letter.
Oh, yeah. I said that, and yeah, it was true.
Furthermore, he went on to tell us that he put the letter in a yellow envelope and put it in the letterbox. He did say this as well.
Ah!
But that very same letterbox was empty. In other words, that night, the yellow envelope disappeared.
Objection!
Ah, yes, intriguing. So an envelope has disappeared from the scene of the crime. Of course. This changes nothing.
Huh?
He has a point, Mr. Justice.
What?
What we're trying to figure out here is how the poison got into Mr. Bishop.
But every aspect of the scene matters. Every aspect.
Is it really not important this envelope the witness saw disappear?
Like, if a case, like, say, like, I was murdered, right? And the police had to investigate it. The investigator had to investigate it here, and they came into they came into my say my bedroom, and they saw that I was writing a note of some kind to someone. Do you think that they're gonna go, well, you know, this note was written at 2 p.m. and he died at 5, so it doesn't matter? No, you're gonna investigate this. Of course, this matters. Well, if it did disappear, then something did leave the studio that night. That seems very important to me. Very well, then the witness will add this to his testimony.
You got it.
I still think this fails to change anything for it.
I wouldn't be so sure. A letter disappeared from the crime scene that night. This is exactly the opening I've been looking for.
A letter was put in the postbox. So how do you think that matters?
Oh, because this is a changed statement. Is there anything we can't present anything on this though? Can we? We can press it, I guess. Not could be more serious than an envelope disappearing from that studio. And you were hiding that fact from us.
Yes, well, actually...
Don't argue the possibility of that letter disappear from the studio. But for it, isn't there a much more serious question before us? Right, how Mr. Mission was poisoned, I know. But Mr. Burchell's testimony has changed, which means the facts of the case have too. And what he told us means something entirely different now, I'm starting to think. Let's keep thinking, Apollo. Okay. Clearly, the only one who could have poisoned him was his daughter. I'm gonna press every statement because I'm just like, nah. I don't know what to do at this point because I thought we had it there with the other part too. You say it clearly as though it were obvious. But this claim that the defendant poisoned the victim is merely conjecture.
Yes, well, you see. In my business, it's all about making the most ridiculous things around sound right. A bad habit, I know.
Is this something?
Yeah, well, actually, I guess this is more a case of ridiculous journalist sounds wrong, end quote.
The court is forced to agree with you. Please refrain from wild conjecture.
Understood, loud and clear.
If only I could believe that. What do you think, Apollo? Everything he's saying seems so not flawed. Well, that's kind of what you want from a testimony, really. I need to keep my eye on what matters. How and why was Drew Misham killed? Okay, how and why? Vera poured the coffee, that's not going to change. But if that coffee didn't kill him, I need to find out what did and prove it. But isn't that what we were trying to do on statement 3, was it? Let's press every statement anyway. We'll press every statement anyway. But that doesn't prove Vera poisoned it.
How many times have you heard that one for it? The poison reached its victim via that coffee mug. And from where did that coffee come from? Not to beat a dead horse again, but perhaps you could fill us in?
I'm on it. You need a horse beat? I'm your man.
Don't touch the horse.
It was Vera poured the coffee. She made it as much herself.
We can press this, but I don't see what this is going to get us. But maybe we press every statement, and you witness her pouring that coffee. When we press statement 3, or maybe we won't even get to see back at it, because that was the statement that I thought would have actually proved that. So we can't even look back that far. We could do this. Because I want to read what they said at that moment. Because they said something at that moment. We could do this. Because I missed it. Usually I'd look back at the log. Maybe it's not here. Time passes by way faster than we think. So this was it. So where was he? Like they said something at the end of this that like I kind of thought was interesting. No, it wasn't here. It was maybe here. It was here. Yeah. We don't need possibilities here for it. We need proof. I know that. You should also know that every proof has its moment. Perhaps you're a bit early? I can tell what we know at this point. The victim put not... Okay, where was it? Here it is. Okay. Let's see what it said. Because it was what he said. Cite another hole in his case needs plugging before I can prove anything. So is he saying we have to press the statement a third time? Usually I'd look at the log, guys, but I went too far. That's my bad. Usually we'd always look at the log if we needed to see something. And before someone says, like, maybe that's like a bit cheating a bit, here's my thing, right? In an actual court case, we'd be able to look back on the log anyway, and I usually look back on the log anyway, but it was too long, you know what I mean? If you guys don't want me to do that in future, let me know, but I feel like just the only reason I did that was just because it went too far. Yeah, so maybe we have to press statement 3 again, and maybe it's because we have other evidence now. I don't know.
Of course, I didn't witness it when she came in with that tray. The coffee was already poured and steaming.
Let's not forget the defendant has admitted to pouring the coffee herself. I had heard a statement, I poured, I served, I killed.
No. What?
That last part was just a little joke.
It's not funny. I don't think I'm going to get anywhere with this coffee mug. I need to find another weak spot in the case. So we're trying to say that that the coffee didn't merge. So okay, let's press this again. I think we can fast forward through it as well, right? So maybe it is a matter of just we need to get other evidence, and that's what he was saying. So let's try like again. I'm going with
You do understand what we need, yeah? Proof, therefore.
Oh, so something's changed, not possibilities. Of course. And Prosecutor Gavin, I hope you understand. I'm ready to give you that proof. Okay, so this has changed. You can't fast forward through this. What did you say? I have proof of the disappearing envelope.
I saw him writing a letter, I did.
Which was picked up by the mailman, I assume.
Of course, which means that envelope had a stamp on it. As we all know, stamps come with dry glue on the back. Wait, so we didn't even need to present some this time. In order to use the glue, you have to wet it. By licking the stamp, is he saying the poison was on the stamp?
Objection!
No one we're talking to actually licks stamps in this day and age.
Objection!
They don't? Even if you wanted to talk to him, you couldn't. He's dead after all.
Objection!
Okay, so we licked the stamp. But wait, how does this explain the atropine on the rim of the coffee mug?
Maybe he transferred for his lips onto the gum mug? If you lick the back of a poison stamp, the poison would get on his tongue, yes? What would then happen if he put the coffee mug to his mouth, Those traces in the mug weren't the killer's doing, it was the other way around. What? The coffee mug didn't poison Mr. Misham. Mr. Misham poisoned the coffee mug himself.
Order! But that doesn't... does it?
Recall, if you would. Atropine is a slow-acting poison, yes? The poison entered his body when he put his stamp on that envelope. But his time wasn't up until a very important moment he touched his lips with a cup of joe. That would explain why he had an instantaneous death, so he wasn't lying about that. That would explain that. That would explain that so well.
You have something to add, Mr. Burchell?
Oh, his nose is picking up another scent.
As I believe I mentioned earlier... Well, that's the thing. See, after he put the letter in that envelope, Mr. Bishop sat there searching his desk drawer for something. A stamp. A so-called postage stamp. End quote.
So he was telling the truth. He was very much telling the truth.
But, I don't seem to remember ever of him finding one.
Oh, God. Maybe just run out?
Incidentally, we searched the desk drawer at the scene of the crime. There was no stamps, not a single one.
There was a stamp on the red letter. We can't look at the letter anymore, which is kind of crazy.
That does pose a problem. How will you prove that the stamp was coated with poison?
Actually, I'm glad no other stamps were found. It makes proving the stamp he used was poison possible.
Good show, good show. You can't even prove there was a stamp at the scene in the first place.
Well, let's hear what the defense has to say anyway. Where was your evidence that proves the existence of this poison stamp?
The only thing with a stamp is the red letter. That's it. That's the only thing. That's the only thing.
Prosecutor Gavin?
I think our beloved attorney has been licking too many stamps in his free time.
What I do in my free time is none of your business. What I do in my free time is none of your business. Do you smell like that when you torture all your victims? You smile like that, sorry. Or just me? Take care we don't lick you on your Oh, because maybe it's not that. Oh. So we need proof that it was. Wait. Oh. The sample left residue on something. It's the freaking tiny frame. I'm an idiot. It's the frame. It's a tiny frame. There we go.
Well, that certainly is a cute little frame, and by little, I mean really little.
It was on the victim's desk, Your Honor. Quite empty, as you can see for yourself.
I noticed that too during my inspection, so what?
Apparently you weren't as observant as you should have been. You see, when you saw this frame, it was missing something quite important.
Missing something?
Yeah, a pale bluish stain on the inside of the frame. Attributing residue. So the stamp was on the frame?
Why wasn't I told about this?
Oh, it doesn't feel nice not being told about evidence, doesn't it? You would never do that though, wouldn't you not? You would never do that. Okay, usually we like I always say, we end the video usually around like an hour mark. That's like the time. I like to have the videos be like an hour long. We don't end the videos until we get to the next statement because I feel like that interrupts the flow a bit too much, you know what I mean? The frame is only 2 inches square. The face of the frame is even smaller. Maybe an inch wide at most.
You aren't saying.
Oh, but I am. Oh, Apollo, tell me what fits in the small frame. Get him, Apollo. A commemorative stamp, perhaps? Oh, buddy. He's so good. He's actually so good.
Order, order, order. This poison stamp was in the frame?
Impossible. Prosecutor Gavin, why would he put something like that on his desk? Don't tell me he had it there so he could commit suicide if the mood struck.
You know, can I say something? I had a thought, see?
What, Mr. Brochelle? Please stop jittering around like that.
The victim was a forger, right? There's a lot of money in the line of work. Forging, forgers, friends make enemies too. End quote.
So the poison stamp might have been a murder weapon aimed at him.
Objection!
Oh, God.
Oh, rich. That's rich. Leave the ridiculous flights of fancy to the Gavineer's song lyrics, please.
I love when we put a bit of pressure on him, though. Like, when he starts insulting us, that's when you know he has, like, when he stops just calling us the air forward and starts saying we're, like, in the way with the fairies, you know he's, like, bothered a bit. Finally, something we agree on.
The stamp was a murder weapon. Nonsense. Murder is a simple business. Why? Who would go to such lengths? No one.
Oh, I disagree.
Come again?
Recall if you had the victim's reclusive lifestyle. Drew Misham had hid from the world. He avoided meetings. His only contact with the outside world was the mail.
The mail?
Now, if you wanted to kill someone you couldn't meet, but you knew read letters, a stamp would have been a perfect weapon.
Ridiculous. Where's your proof? I want proof. Show us evidence that this poison stamp was sent to him. A murder weapon.
Oh, my lord. I'm gonna have evidence, per se, but things are finally starting to come together. What is it, Apollo? Your fists are trembling. I think I know what happened. I don't believe it, but I can see it. So this is what I'm thinking as well. I'm thinking someone sent him a letter, and they kept sending him letters in the hope that he would use the letter, reuse the stamp. My grandmother would always reuse stamps. I think I know how Mr. Misham was killed.
Well, fill us in, Mr. Justice.
A certain piece of evidence points to the truth, Your Honor. I can show you how someone with an intent to kill sent Mr. Misham a stamp of death. So now we present the letter. Because if someone sent in this letter, then they would have residue on this as well, right?
Isn't this the envelope, the one from 7 years ago?
Think about it. The text of the letter again. There were 2 pages in the envelope. This page, this is page 1. And this is page 2. I want to draw your attention to one phrase in particular. Send in the enclosed envelope with the enclosed stamp within 3 days. The enclosed stamp, Your Honor?
Ah.
In other words,
if I have this straight, the stamp poison on the stamp lick gasp. End quote.
Now, what if he had done what exactly as the letter asked? He would sign the document, put it in the envelope, and put the stamp on it. Then he would put it in his letterbox. 15 minutes wouldn't have elapsed. 15 minutes wouldn't have elapsed between affixing the stamp and mailing the letter. But the clock started ticking when the time came. He drew his last breath, and the murder weapon would have been taken away from the scene.
Quite conveniently, thanks to the postal system.
It is kind of confusing, isn't it? Like, while I feel like there is going to be like a very nice through line here, and it's going to make sense at some point, I do feel like, you know, it just adds a whole other like area that we're going to have to figure out as well, like of like who sent this in from the outside, how could they send it from the outside, who, like, what type of person would do this. We need a name. We need like at least a lead.
Let me confirm one thing with you, if I might. So this poison stamp was inside the envelope 7 years ago. Is that what you really have us believe, really?
Well, it's a little bit of a stretch, but there's a possibility. Trucy has like also gotten very good at just like ascertaining what's happening in the trial too, right?
A very small possibility. How small, I wonder? A poison stamp in this envelope? A stamp that became the murder weapon? How do you intend to prove this seeming coincidence?
Well, it was 7 years ago and we don't even know who sent that letter.
And your answer is silence. I see, very well. I move to...
It's not nice to pick on the Fräulein Clavier. Wait, what? What? What?! Wait, what? Wait, what happened? Emma. Well, like my Christoph Gavin oh my god, Emma. Did I sound like him? Emma. Emma, I got a heart attack. Don't quit your day job.
Don't you have a crime scene to be looking after, Fräulein Detective?
Sometimes it could dig you out all that mess you're making on this case. Mess? You know, none of this would have happened if you just trusted the science a little more. You can find out if the stamp was in that envelope easy.
Care to explain yourself, Fräulein Detective?
Glare at me all you want, but science is on my side. It's all the residue, right?
Okay, Emma's gonna help us out here?
That's right, the poison detection spray.
Produce the red envelope at once. You can open it on the authority of the court.
So you have to spray it around. Ooh, where's the poison? Where's the poison? There it is. And it's on like somewhere where hold the thumb. Or maybe the stamp?
Well, would you look at that?
No mistaking it. That's atroquinine residue. I imagine that this feels good for Emma because she wanted to come in and get Clavier for the last trial as well. She wanted to get him for the last trial also. Nice outfit.
I don't believe it. A murder weapon from the past. Now, 7 years later, it bears its fangs at last.
Objection!
Absolutely outrageous. Tell me why. Why didn't this murder take place 7 years ago?
Well, there's one possibility. Maybe Mr. Misham figured it out.
Figured out what?
He realized that the person who sent that letter wanted him dead. So he sent his reply with a different stamp.
And put his decisive evidence in the frame.
Oh god, there's a holder. Who's holding it? You?
Trucy? Oh, Rochelle.
I thought Trucy was gonna hold it there.
Can I make a statement here on the record? I, Spark, Razor Tooth Rochelle, claim this scoop as mine. Drew Misham Kelly Coldblood. By sender of 7-year-old letter, end quote. No, maybe something more succinct. Star falls after 7-year delay, end quote. Order, order! I see no room for further argument here, though I admit this is all coming to quite as a shock, yes. To think that the murder weapon reached his mouth after 7 years.
Stamp is a ticket straight to afterlife, so oh my god,
are we gonna have to like talk about like Because if this had something to do with Phoenix's trial, this might have to go back into Phoenix's past. Oh, I think the witness is bad influence on our judge.
I see no need for further debate on this matter. The sender of that letter 7 years ago could hardly have been our defendant.
Apollo, I think we just won.
Very well. This court finds the defendant.
No! 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 Gavin, stop it! We were about to get the early decisive victory there.
Is this bright future for our legal system?
You were okay with putting away a 14-year-old, so I'm just saying.
Prosecutor? Gavin? The ticket to the afterlife from 7 years ago. Tickets for Gavin to your shows are invalid after 2 weeks. But it doesn't make sense any other way. It boggles my mind to say that so many people haven't noticed this. There's a fatal contradiction in F4Ed's claim.
A contradiction?
A poison stamp was placed in this envelope 7 years ago, whereupon it was framed until now. If that were the case, then why would Drew Misham have done what he did?
Emma, explain that. He must have realized it was poisoned.
Therein lies the rub. 7 years ago, the forger Drew Misham sensed a trap and put a stamp in the frame. I do not debate this, but this begs the question, why 7 years later did he use that stamp on the night of the murder? Surely you don't mean to suggest that Mr. Misham simply forgot.
Maybe.
He put the murder weapon in a frame on his desk for 7 years and forgot. You expect us to believe he sprang the trap on himself?
Ah! Well, I admit this is all quite shocking myself. It does seem highly unlikely that he would have fallen for a foul of a trap.
That had been sitting on his desk for 7 years.
Apollo! I don't think we're winning anymore. We were so happy there for a second.
I'm glad to see we're all back in the real world now. Welcome back to reality. We've been waiting for you.
Okay, then how do you explain the poison stamp was in the envelope?
It's not good when we're saying it's the poison stamp. Where exactly is this poison stamp again? Have you brought it to the court for us?
Are you serious? We found poison residue in the shape of a stamp.
This is crazy. This doesn't make any sense. It's almost like if you were able to carry a 14-year-old was able to carry a 6'4" man onto a scissor lift. I see no proof that such a thing ever existed.
What about the atroquinine residue, huh?
Oh, I agree, that does seem to be atroquinine residue. But forehead, it's certainly no stamp.
Yeah, but
even if Upress's poison stamp did exist, Drew Misham never would have used it. That is all.
See, the issue here for me, right, is that we have evidence that there is poison on the stamp. We have evidence that there's poison residue on the frame. We have evidence that the shape of a stamp was put in on the frame. Like, he's always talking about like bring us down to earth with evidence. To bring this down to earth for a second, we have evidence. It may not be perfect evidence. We have evidence. His counter argument to is who would do that? Who would do that? Whereas when I brought up last trial, which we weren't even allowed to bring up last trial, who would do that? It wasn't allowed. So there, Judge, you have to disregard that like you disregarded mine last time. Thank you. I believe we've come to a conclusion again. Where are we going? What? Excuse me? Apollo, we're wrong in the whole time. No, because his whole defense of who would do that? We had a trial where someone literally dragged a noodle stand through the city to hide a body. That's the type of thing that everyone would go, who would do that? I can't believe it. The poison traces match up. It can't be coincidence. It's not. We have evidence. He has. Who would do that? Do not dare. I'd like to bring some closer to. It's a murder trial that is important for our whole country and our whole system, Mr. Judge. Mr. Justice, yes, that's me. Yes, Your Honor. Let's review the facts and see where we stand. 7 years ago, Drew Misham received a red envelope.
There were traces of the poison atropine on the document inside that envelope. A similar trace was also found at the crime scene, on this tiny picture frame. The defense has indicated the possibility of a yellow envelope. The envelope left the scene of the crime with a poison stamp on it.
Yes, but all of this evidence does not pale in comparison to me saying, nah. Yes, but even this envelope contained a poison stamp, and Drew Misham, knowing this, put this in the frame. He never would have used the stamp.
The fact is that the stamp is gone and was used. And there's poison on it.
I'm afraid you're right. All the evidence doesn't matter because you said not which means there is a fatal flaw in the defense's case.
Trucy and I are gonna jump Gavin after this. I haven't been on the wrong track this whole time. I'm sure I haven't been on the wrong track this whole time. I'm sure of it. I have evidence. Maybe I should say nah. Here's the thing. I totally agree that yeah, it doesn't make any sense to lick the stamp. It doesn't make any sense for him to lick the stamp after so long, right? 100% that's true. But I still think as well that like you should be able like the crazy stuff that have happened in front of this judge. Like so many times crazy stuff in this game, crazy stuff has happened. Right? That I don't think that it's out of the realm of possibility that someone could have licked a stamp. You know? And Drew Misham's mysterious death. They're all connected somehow. Yes, they're all like happened, like he was poisoned. There was a poison stamp. Someone licked the stamp is gone. Do you have a conclusion for us? Yes. My answer is yeah. The defense stands by its case, Your Honor. Good. Good, Apollo. Good. We've seen that the logical outcome of the evidence makes no sense. Which means that one of our clues must be a fake.
Fake clue? Fascinating. What if I say nah? And if we find this fake, your wild fantasy will prove quite reasonable, yeah?
By the way, this isn't... Again, I want to make it clear. I agree with Clavier. I agree with Clavier when he says that who would do that. He's 100% correct. He's 100% correct in that sense. But he should also be able to provide a counter evidence to our evidence. To show why, like I don't think, who would do that is enough evidence in terms of like a court case to prove why someone wouldn't do something, right? Especially when we have so many things connecting now. That's all I'm saying. The fake clue that's thrown us off the poison's trail is none other than... Wait. So, okay, hear me out here. What if the actual forged evidence here out of all of this is either the... No. I was gonna say it's the red envelope and maybe it's the yellow envelope, but I don't think we can say that envelope's fake because it's 7 years old. Like, why would it be fake now, actually? The fake clue, so it's either the frame? What? Drew Misham? Can we try the frame then? Because the red envelope doesn't make it. Let's try the frame.
This frame is a fake clue?
Without a doubt, Your Honor.
Objection!
Wasn't you presented the evidence to the court? Oh, hold on a second, Apollo. The poison on the envelope, that frame, and the coffee mug, they're all connected somehow. Yes, yeah, you're right. I'm just like, wait, so... All right. I can hear it already. It looks like the fake was you, Forehead. We can flog ourselves later, Apollo. Now's the time for thinking. We were wrong. I love Byakuya. I love that she's like, we'll flog ourselves later, yeah. The fake clue that's thrown us off this poison's trail is none other than... So it's not the frame. It's not the red envelope. But... Without a doubt, Your Honor.
Objection!
Wasn't you present... Yeah, okay. Hold on a second, Apollo. So all these connect... So it's Drew Misham? That's the fake? Yeah, Trucy's great. No, yeah. So, wait, what?
The victim was a fake clue. I'm afraid I don't understand.
Oh, were they... I'll explain. We have an envelope, a frame, and a mug linked by poison. That all makes sense. What doesn't make sense is the victim himself. Congratulations. Oh! He didn't know it was poisoned.
So the fake evidence is none other than the master of fake himself, the forger. It makes a good story, I'll give you that.
A fake clue, fakes, forgeries. Ah! I know the face. That's the... I just had an idea face. It is, Trucy. It is. I don't know if I'm right, but I'm going with it anyway. What if our forger is the fake?
Come again?
7 years ago, our forger sniffed a trap and stepped aside. 7 years passed. Now the forger stumbles into the very same trap and dies? Why?
That's what I want to know.
Because the forger who was killed was a fake. Huh? Wait. So I was actually thinking, what if he like isn't the one who was forging like the paintings? Vera's an artist too. And if it was directed towards Vera, then she would have known it was poison, but he wouldn't have. One forger smelled the trap and one forger fell into the trap. That's two forgers, and one of them was a fake.
Order, order, order.
So you were telling us that Drew Misham, the victim, was a fake?
Well, if he was the fake, who was the real forger? You better not be claiming there was some kind of switcheroo. I'm afraid you're going to have to back up your story.
I'm going to say, yeah, Your Honor.
Mr. Justice, show us who just the real Drew Misham was.
If Drew Misham wasn't the real forger, there's only one other person it could have been, the only other artist. Understood, Your Honor. Forger Drew Misham himself was a forgery. The real forger was... Vera. There can only be one explanation, really. The real identity of the forger was known as Drew Misham, was none other than his only daughter, Vera Misham.
Order, order, order. Mr. Justice, this is going out on a limb even for you.
I kind of agree. I mean, Vera, a forger? I mean, the only thing I was thinking was that if the letter wasn't directed towards her, but it was directed towards her, she opened the letter, she read the letter, she knew it was poisoned, and just put the stamp on a photo frame? Let's consider it before you write it off entirely. If you look at the paintings in the studio, one fact becomes quite clear. Forgery had taken place in that studio for quite some time. The forger wasn't caught in that trap 7 years ago. This can only mean that the only one who was caught in the trap wasn't the forger.
Well, actually, that does make a certain kind of sense. It's back poop. It's back poop, though.
One more thing. Only 2 sets of fingerprints were found in the forger's studio. Drew Misham's and Vera Misham's. And we know that Drew Misham wasn't the forger. That leaves only one possibility by process of elimination. That's what I do all the time. The forger was Vera Misham. Well...
Fascinating.
Oh. Well, she should have been questioned from the start, the poor girl.
Vera Misham, you've been paying attention to the trial so far?
Let's just ask her and be done with it, shall we? Who are you? Who is the forger Drew Misham?
Oh, she's so sweet. Was that an expression of emotion I saw on her face? She's staring holes in Prosecutor Gavin's face.
I'm used to being stared at by Fräuleins, believe me. Though they usually talk to me too. Tell us, were you the one who forged those works of art?
Oh. Yes.
So the forger Drew Misham was you? I love this. This is awesome the way she does this.
Yes, it was me.
What is that? Like, oh, it's a tear come from the eye?
What?
What?
Oh, the outfit's sick. The court was in an uproar and it wasn't coming down. Wait. We had to break for a 10-minute recess. Oh my god. Okay. Oh, Jesus, we've been recording for a long time. Okay, I want to talk about this for a second here. I can't talk to the evidence as much as I wish I could because I don't know. Like, I literally just don't know. I'm not piecing this together as well as I could be. The only thing in my mind there is that she's forging everything. The letter was directed towards her. She read the letter and then she knew it was poison, but he didn't. And like, he just found a random letter. I was like, I'm just gonna put this on the thing. You know what I mean? I'm gonna use that. Her staring holds into Clavier. And they were talking about a trial from 7 years ago. Like, all the stuff from 7 years ago. Right? Is it possible that she knew something of this happening from 7 years ago again with Phoenix? Because that's the thing I'm most interested in, the trailing back to 7 years ago. That's the thing I want to hear about more than anything. And hopefully we'll hear about it going forward. Guys, this was really, really crazy. It was really fun. Again, like I always say, I hope that like you guys understand that like when I get frustrated at Gavin, it's not like frustration at the game. It's fun for me. It's actually like, I love it. Like, I love the feeling of getting my blood boiling when I'm playing these games, because that's a feeling. And I think sometimes when people play games, you know, a lot of people go, oh, video games are just for fun. It's fun for me to play Ace Attorney, have my blood boil, have me care about the case so much, have me get aggressive with the other people, have me like get angry, have me get happy, upset. All this stuff feels good. It's the same thing like when I'm playing Dark Souls. I love the feeling of frustration or the feeling of desperation in Dark Souls. It feels good. It does feel good. I love the feeling of a rhythm game when my fingers can't keep up with the things on screen. But thank you guys so much for watching these videos, and thank you to Tyfire 2, Jamie Bull, Janet the Banana, Normal Kara, The Ghost of Inazuma, Felicious Felix, George Candelaria, Eskun, Yule, Radish, Fruity, Orange Bang, Summer Oasis, Death Trap, Anusta, Ciabatta Bread, and Malcolm Condé. Yeah, we're gonna see where this goes. I'm enjoying myself. If you're wondering what the next playthrough after this is going to be, I'm not quite sure exactly what we're going to be doing. It's either Danganronpa another, or we're going to play. I think we're going to play maybe a game that's not a trial game, because I think playing Danganronpa another right after another trial game. I did that before. I played Danganronpa, then I played Trials and Tribulations right after. No, I played the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles right after I played a Danganronpa game. And the issue with that isn't that there aren't just two fantastic games. I find that, for me personally, the reason I love these games is because I will space them out. And it doesn't make sense to play a Danganronpa game right after playing another trial game, because you're just going into kind of the same type of gameplay with just different twists, if that makes sense. So I think maybe something like Detroit Become Human might be good, or something like that. The Let's Play list is long, and it is... or maybe like something like To the Moon. Because then I feel like if we play To the Moon, we could actually, like, you know, it's a smaller game, and we could definitely not bust through it, but get through it. You know what I mean?